1 week left in the regular season of the Winter 18 season in Connecticut, and the playoffs are starting to take form. After next week, we'll have those playoff seedings for you right here on the Postgame Show. This is the Week 8 Postgame Show. I'm Joey Zacco. You guys know these guys by now, part of the Weekly Rebound. Mike and Joe. Actually, the entire Weekly Rebound, excuse me. That is the Weekly Rebound, Connor and Greg. First, let me go through these playoff tiebreakers. Then we're going to go through the Week 8 games, as we always do. First tiebreaker is record. Pretty obvious, but that is a tiebreaker, so the records will decide things. If you've played the team, the second tiebreaker is the head-to-head, whoever won when you played. And the third tiebreaker, hopefully we won't have to go farther than this, is RPI. It's a math equation, takes into account who you played and who your opponents played. Okay, so it's a strength of schedule. College basketball uses it, RPI. All right, so look it up, Google it. Google. It's a great website if you have any questions for RPI. Let's get to the games. No Limit Flint was a good one. Tyler behind the camera. The eye roll, only a minute in. We're making good time on the eye roll. No Limit Flint, 72-68. I wasn't here. From what I saw, Flint had a lead in the final minute. I'm going to let one of you guys start with this. No Limit does win. Stay undefeated. They now control their destiny for that top seed as the only undefeated team, right? So what did you see last night when they took on the Flint Tropics?
Good teams always find a way to win. And they didn't play their best basketball all night. Like you said, Flint had the lead going within a minute, but they just found a way to win. They kept pushing, they kept moving the ball like they always do. And, like I said, they look poised to be the number one seed and the favorites going into the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said on the podcast, I can't remember the last time I didn't pick No Limit, and call me a homer, but I just think that this is their year. I think that they're motivated. I think that they really want this win. I think they see their window of opportunity opening, and I think they're poised to take it. I also want to shout out Eric Singleton. I think this year defensively, he's stepped up, and he's moved right into that Defensive Player of the Year conversation. He's played amazing on the defensive side of the ball.
We talk about Eric's defense a lot. He's in the running for maybe Offensive Player of the Year with some of the numbers on the other end he's put up. So he's doing it all for that team on a team that has a whole bunch of talent. We will definitely be hearing from them. The top two seeds also get a bye. One of the things I forgot. So No Limit has almost, I think, locked up a bye. I don't know if they can fall past two, so there's still that other bye out there up for grabs. We'll save the game of the week, which was our 0-7 bowl, as No Limit called it. But Team Moose, big win. I think they deserve some love. They were saying they get no love in the rankings. They will this week. They take down the Monstars 69-62. Can't talk about that game without Pooch, who left with an injury. Didn't look too good, so we will keep you updated on that. But Reggie was doing Reggie things. Team Moose grinds out a game, like I said. Both teams under 70 points. What did you guys see from Team Moose, and do they get some respect now?
Yeah, definitely. I think Team Moose, they've gotten respect throughout the whole season, but you know what? They couldn't really close out those games. And you know what? Their defense is incredible. They play as a team. You can tell that these guys have been playing together forever. And it was unfortunate what happened to Pooch down there at the other end. He went for a dunk. Unfortunately, landed on his wrist the wrong way. Kind of hurt. Hopefully there's nothing too bad with that injury. But you know what? Team Moose, they pulled off a great win, stopping a high-power offense with Reggie Stewart. So, you know, props to Team Moose, for sure. Mike?
Well, yeah, like I said, Team Moose, they play strategically. Right. When they have the lead, they hold the ball. And they always find ways to win. I like them going to the playoffs. They're hot. Like Kevin Blake said to me in the postgame, they're very, very hot going in. So look for them to be a sleeper team.
And I didn't see Matt Mazzocchi there, who might be their best shooter. And that adds another dimension to that team. But Team Moose made a run last year to the semis, and they are poised to do that again with the grinded-out style, the defensive-first mentality, and that leads to their offense. And they make teams defend. I think that's one of the hardest things to understand. You see the score, they're not high-scoring, but Team Moose makes you defend, and that throws some teams off when teams just want to get up and run and turn it into a shootout. Let's go to the game of the week. Let's show them some love. Shooter shoot, semi-pro. Shooter shoot. Get the first win. After the mishap a couple weeks ago, they had some players still missing. They pull out the win against semi-pro. 55-46, a low-scoring game. Is there much to say about this game? One team had to win. Is that where we're going with this? But, I mean, credit shooter shoot. This is a stat I did see last night. Luke Riccio, 1 for 17 from the field, which is crazy, and they still win. So that's a credit to that team getting their first win.
Yeah, congratulations, Shooter Shoot, on their first win. Semi-pro, there's still some hope next week against Stranger Danger, but we'll see how it goes.
It's not very nice. I'm right here.
But Shooter Shoot, give them a lot of credit. Like I said, 1 for 17, they still won. Right. It just goes to show how well they play as a team. one guy's having an off night, they pick each other up, and they deserve that first win.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a smooth game in terms of the brand of basketball that was being played. There's a lot of turnovers, a lot of missed shots. But at the end of the day, it was two teams that were playing really competitive head-to-head with one another, and it was an entertaining basketball game to watch from that perspective. And at the end of the day, it was just a good win for the shoot-to-shoot team that's come out here every week. And they're always having fun. They always got smiles on their faces, so it was nice to see them leave the building with those same smiles that they normally come in with, walking out with a win.
Moving on to Goon Squad and the Temptations, two franchises, two teams that go way back. For those of you that don't know, these two teams played a triple overtime game in the Fall 17 quarterfinals over a year ago. Fall 16, exactly, over a year ago. Triple overtime. It's great to say those two teams again. One player who wasn't there in that triple overtime game, Melquan Horton, who's been great all year. We say it every week. He can never win Player of the Week for whatever reason. He continues to stuff the stat sheet. But I know Carmine was doing Carmine things. And Goon Squad, was Marconi back? Because he missed week 7, so he was back in week 8. So it was two full teams going at it. Temptations pull it out. What'd you see from them? They're going to be one of the higher seeds as well heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Temptations, Goon Squad, it's always a good game. Goon Squad said they were their rival. I think they've had their number for the last 3 times they played them. So Goon Squad knew they were going to come out back with Scott and Matt Marconi. They knew they were missing a couple guys, but they wanted to come out. But with Carmine and Melquan Horton, that combination was deadly. So not many teams can be able to take down that high-powered offense.
Yeah, and I'll let Connor take this away because Melquan's his boy. Melquan, keep balling.
Yeah, Melquan's one of my favorite players. I like Grant for giving me this little shout-out opportunity. Can somebody please vote Melquan when he gets on there? Please. This is a PSA to everybody that watches these post-game shows. Melquan stuffs the stats every single night. He's one of the leading rebounders in the league, and he's not even a big man. He's a traditional guard in terms of what his body frame brings to the table. And he's just such an unselfish player. He doesn't have to score points in order to be recognizable in the stat sheet. He does a lot of other things, and he brings that team a different dynamic that I think Carmine always gives you that finesse offensive game, and Melquan brings you everything else, so he's a perfect fit for that team.
Even if he doesn't win a Player of the Week, I'm confident he's going to be in the running for some of the other awards that some of the guys have already voted for. Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved, I think, as well. Maybe even MVP because of where that team would be without him when Carmine was out those couple weeks. So, the game we just saw here at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, the Throne and the Rim Breakers. The Rim Breakers win. Now, I was talking to them during the game. They're one of the most, I think, up and down teams this season. They'll take care of the Throne and then, I don't know, lose to the Chasers. I'm pretty sure that, that's an example of a team like maybe they can beat the Chasers and then they would lose. Up and down for the Rim Breakers. They do win this week. What'd they do on Tuesday to take down the Throne?
Well, I put them as another sleeper team going into the playoffs. I say here every week that I like the Rim Breakers. They're fun to watch. They root for each other. They just move the basketball really well. They play cohesive as a unit. They root for each other. They're very vocal. Right up there with the Blue Devils, that they're very, very vocal on the bench.
It's a good way to put it. Blue Devils and vocal, huh? We'll get to them in a second. Yeah.
I mean, the Rim Breakers to me are the weirdest team in the league because when they're really flourishing and playing well, they're a well-oiled machine and they can really contend in this league. But it's times where I see them just not play as aggressive. And again, I love their team. I think their bench is the funniest in the league, without a doubt. But I just want to see them have an edge, a different edge. I see the No Limit have them, and I see the Blue Devils have that. I see the Chasers absolutely have that, and I think that's the Monstars are missing that this year. Where's the edge? And with the Rim Breakers, it's the same thing. I want to see that. I want this win. I'm willing to do anything for it.
Quickly, do you think it's a lack of focus at times for the Rim Breakers? Is that fair? What do you think?
Maybe a little lack of focus, but again, I think it's just maybe it's come playoff time. You've seen a lot of teams in this league. Come playoff time, flip switch, they turn into a different team. So again, I'm just interested to see how they change, but a lack of focus really could be a problem.
And in a one-and-done playoff, you have to be focused. And I'm not saying they're not, but you have to always be focused when it is a one-and-done scenario. BSB and the Chasers, blood, sweat, and beers. It was a 15-point game. It was much closer than that at times. And I heard last night the Chasers almost were turning on that switch like the Cavs claim to have, which the Cavs don't. The Chasers might have that switch, but it was closer than that. And then they pulled away in the fourth. I'm interested because 68 points for Blood, Sweat, and Beers on the Chasers is a good performance. Not enough to win, though, as the Chasers win again.
Yeah, I mean, the Chasers, they kind of played down to the level of the other squad in the beginning of the game, but when they start to realize, all right, this is a tight game, they kind of stepped it up with, of course, Jerry Washington and Deontay Washington. But on the boards, you got David Armstrong and Jerome Baskin, who are killing it out there. And you know what? Chasers, they're one of the best teams in the league, so they pulled it off with the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and it was Robo Perrier and Cody DeLeonardo for BSNB, which really had strong performances, breakout games for both those guys. And Cody's an alumni of my high school, so shout out to Cody. And I just like seeing that kid ball out. He comes out and he's a real hustler. I see him, maybe if he misses an offensive shot, he sprints down and plays defense on the other end, and he'll work to get a steal or a block. And it's that brand of basketball that gives an edge, like Greg's talking about. You want to bring an edge to your team, and I think that's what he and Robo did for that BSNB squad.
A lot of the stuff Cody does, kind of like Melquan, doesn't always show up in the stat sheet, and you have to kind of watch the games to see it. The largest margin of Week 8, stranger danger in the Blue Devils. The Blue Devils shot it very well, if I may say so myself, many times over me. 128-67. We talked about Devon Pratt. He showed off his shooting touch today. We talked about Mike Davis. We know he can shoot. And again, I joked at halftime, like, guys, you can miss one. You're only up 40. I mean, you don't have to make every one. But the Blue Devils now, going into the last week of the season, they're still on a winning streak, right? I think they have one loss.
They lost week 1
to No Limit. So No Limit has the tiebreaker over them regardless, so that they can't jump No Limit. But they can get that bye with one loss depending on the tiebreakers. So that'll come down to next week. But what did the Blue Devils show, if anything, that leads you to believe that maybe they can challenge for it all come the playoffs?
Well, they just shoot extremely well.
Yeah.
It's just nonstop. Mike Davis, definitely an MVP candidate. Devon Pratt, like I said, huge night tonight. Stranger danger. They're playing with a one-man bench, so
nice.
give them some credit. It's hard to stop all that firepower, but props to the Blue Devils. They look like a team to be reckoned with going into the final week of the season and into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, week 1 of the podcast, I said my MVP, Mike Davis. I mean, he's proving it week after week. And the best thing about him is him and Pratt go back and forth, debating with each other. And I really think they elevate each other's play. And I think that's something that was big for the Monstars last year with Greg and Eric. I think both of them kind of motivated each other. And I think that's huge for the Blue Devils going forward.
Yeah, so the one thing I think going into playoff time that really shows in the Blue Devils is that no matter who they play, they're not going to play down to the level. They're going to keep out, they're going to come out, and play every game like it's the last game.
And whenever you have Mike Davis on defense, especially, I mean, Mike is one of the best players in the league, maybe ever. But when you have him on defense, he elevates everyone else's defense. And Devon Pratt, rim protector. Destin Simmons hasn't been right, but if he starts shooting, now you can't leave him, and you got people playing downhill for them. That will be a problem for sure with some matchups in the future. Any last thoughts?
No Markey tonight either.
No Markey. I know, and still, 128 points. Yeah. So, Markey wasn't there against No Limit either, so that'll be very interesting.
Nor was Pratt.
There you go. Oh. So, I would like to see those teams meet again. Let me just say that. No Limit cannot be happy with that. That's fine. It'd be a very good basketball game. I can't say the same. So, that'll do it for the Week 8 postgame show. If Ronte's still watching, we will now know. Keep an eye on the Twitter. Keep an eye on the Twitter. That'll do it. Stay tuned to the site, thelegacyleagues.com. For the guys, I'm Joey. 1 week left. And then we are very literally in March Madness of our own. It's that time of year. So we will see you for Week 9, the last week of the Winter 18 season.